Hi, this video is going to teach you how to create shapes, basic shapes, with Adobe Illustrator for the Epilogue Laser Mini 40-watt laser engraver, also known as a laser cutter, or can also be used for laser etching. The following is what you need to do in order to create this type of file. We're going to click Create New. We're going to have a focus on using 1/8 inch thick plywood that fits into the laser cutting bed. The size of the plywood that is commonly purchased here in the Fab Lab is 23.75 inches by 11.75 inches, 23.75 being the width, 11.75 being the height. Make sure the drop-down menu is in inches. We also commonly have this set to pixels by default. This is the number you would need to use if you had pixels, but I would use inches. This is the numbers for points, but I would use inches. Picas, but I would use inches. Feet is another one that some people tend to switch to, but I would again use inches. Here you go. I would set the color mode to RGB. If you get a exclamation point by doing this, that's okay. It's just a warning saying you're switching the color mode, and the next time you open the file, it'll default to the RGB color mode, and that will be your new standard, and the warning will go away. Screen 72 ppi for the raster effects. That's good for just vector files. We are creating a vector file, by the way. The vector file and the intent of this file will be for the laser cutter to be using the vector settings. The vector settings follow paths created in Adobe Illustrator. These paths could be shapes, could be lines, could be a lot of things. We're going to focus on the shape design in this video. The default preview mode is perfectly okay. After you have all of that set up, we're going to click Create. This is your artboard in Adobe Illustrator. This artboard is the size of the material we most commonly use. You can change it to the size of the material you're going to use if the size of the material you need to use changes. However, this is about the size, 12 by 24 inches is the size that is largest for the laser cutter. Moving on, we're going to add a simple shape. This is a simple way of creating paths that the laser cutter can follow using the vector settings. If you have not used this before, the default would be the rectangle tool. If you have used shape before, you may see one of these images. I get to these images by clicking and holding that tool with a regular old left mouse click. I'm going to select the rectangle tool. In order to place this rectangle, there are several different ways. The only way I'll show you right now is by clicking and dragging. There we go, we have a rectangle. This is not laser cuttable yet. In order to make it laser cuttable, you must change the stroke weight of any path that you have that you would like the laser cutter to follow to 0.01. By default, that is PT. Alright, and that is the correct unit to use. We need to set the color of the stroke to black for the laser cutter. That is what it's looking for. And we need to set the fill, which is the inside color of your shape, to none. That's the most common way of doing this for the most simplest designs. With that being done, this path that is created is now able to be laser cut. We need to save this file. Go to File, Save. We need to save it, in our case, on the computer. We need to save it in the Documents folder. This is a networked folder. If you need to get onto another computer, if your computer dies for various reasons, if you save it in any of your files that you create in a Documents folder, you will have access to it. You should have access to it on another computer. We're going to use proper naming protocol. First name, last name, block. I'm just going to make up one, the demo block, 1D, and then a name relevant to the design. We'll say today this is a rectangle rapid test. Something relevant that you'll be able to find later. I'm also going to copy this name because I'm going to place it into my email so that I know the name of the file matches the subject matter of my email that I will be sending in a moment to get to the file to the laser cutter. Once you have the file name saved and you know you're in the Documents folder, click Save. These should be the default modes, default options. All of these should be totally okay for what we're doing right now. If they're not, please make sure they match. Click OK. And now your file is saved. Go to your internet and email to fablab@ren.org. Fablab@ren.org is where we send the emails. This is accessible to all students, so you could go to the computer that is attached to the laser cutter and access it immediately, as well as I can access it. In the subject, please put the name of your file that you have created. That way, when we look through the emails, we can find it very rapidly. Next, I would attach the file. Make sure you attach the file. It's using this little paper clip down here. We have to locate your file, which we've created. It's going to be in Documents. There it is right there. Click Open. It's now attached to this file, or to this email. In the content area of your email, please put what type of file it is. It's a laser cutter file, sure. Please put whether or not it's meant to be cut through or etched. Put the material you intend to use, and the vector, if you're intending to use vector, which is this whole lesson. The vector settings, let me know that it's going to be vector settings. The other options later on could be raster settings. Or you could say both, vector and raster. In this case, we're just doing vector. Just so you know, these are charted, these powers, speeds, and frequencies are charted on a chart located directly above the laser cutter in the laser cutting room. But a common power and speed for cutting through 1/8 inch plywood is 100 power, 19 speed. These are percentages of what the machine is capable of. And a frequency, how many times per second the laser fires, is 500. All right. Those are common settings. Please put those in there for cutting through 1/8 inch plywood. Other than that, check to make sure everything is all right. You got your email, you got your subject, you got what this file is all about. Any other relevant information, if you needed anything else in here that needs to be known by the person making the file, which should be you and me or someone else knowledgeable with the laser cutter, at the laser cutter, so we know what to do. Make sure your file is attached, click send, and that's it. Once you've clicked send, that file should be sent to the computer, and really to any computer, but it will be accessible at the computer that is connected to the laser cutter, in which case then we can open up that file, run through the printing settings, which we'll teach on another lesson, and print, aka cut, out your design. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening.